Hello, everyone. Happy Friday of Inbound. You all excited to see Amy Poehler? Awesome. Well, AI engine optimization has been one of the big topics of Inbound, hasn't it? Today, we're going to talk about the importance of using our own owned media to increase brand visibility in AI engines, and the tactics on page that the HubSpot blog is using on our own team to do that. Before we begin, my name is Amanda Sellers. I'm the manager of the EN blog growth team at HubSpot. That means I'm the warden of the people and the strategy that makes the blog go. In my career, I have ideated, written, edited, and ultimately been responsible for more than 60,000 pieces of web content. And I'm playing a key role in bringing the HubSpot blog forward into the AEO era.
And I'm Amanda Huffman. I am an AI search strategist on the EN blog growth team. I've worked at HubSpot for 3 years, but have been working in content marketing and SEO for a little over 8. On the EN blog growth team, I help with topic research and content audits. I execute experiments and content campaigns, and I also contribute to our overall AEO and SEO strategy. And a fun fact about me is my go-to karaoke song is Hopelessly Devoted to You from the musical Grease. And on today's agenda, we're covering 3 overarching topics. 1, how search is changing. 2, the differences between SEO and AEO, or if there are any differences at all. And 3, how the HubSpot blog is evolving our strategy.
Search. Who works in search? It's been a wild year, hasn't it? Why has that been? Well, in 2023, ChatGPT released, and AI adoption has been increasing. And we can kind of see why. Using an AI engine for certain tasks is, a little easier. In the past, traditional search engines really focused on surfacing the best resource to answer a particular question, and someone would have to interact with that resource to find their answer. Whereas AI engines just give you the best answer compiled from many resources. And this shift really put search engines on the back foot a little bit. Google, in particular, has responded to that by rolling out AI features such as AI overviews, which is a generated answer at the top of the SERPs, and in some countries already, AI mode, which is an entire AI-generated interface for search. And that has really affected the way that we get traffic from traditional search engines. Historically, the better that you did in search, the more visibility you would have on a search engine. So the purple line is impressions. That measures visibility. The blue line is clicks and kind of quantifies the traffic that you can get from a search engine. In the past, those 2 lines really moved in sync with one another. But as AI features rolled out, eating up some of the clicks, you start to see those lines diverge, making a little alligator mouth there. That is what we're calling in the industry the great decoupling of impressions and clicks, coined by SEO Darwin Santos. And the key takeaway that we can see from this graph, which is a real HubSpot graph, by the way, is that even if we do everything we're supposed to do and have success in search, we are seeing less traffic as a result. Part of this is because user behavior is changing. People are adopting AI. Part of this is because of the new features are changing the user behavior on the search engine itself. So what we can take away as people who work in search and who work in marketing, that we need to, number 1, protect our existing demand from search, but also start capitalizing on the demand and visibility that we can get from AI engines as an emerging channel.
And so you might be wondering, does SEO strategy even need to change? Many SEOs don't even think that AEO is a new practice and that AEO is just a new facet of good SEO. We actually had this very debate at our team offsite a couple months ago, where we put a bunch of different tactics on note cards and had all of our SEO strategists in the room debate which tactics were SEO, which were AEO, and which were both. The result is that each individual strategist in the room had a different perspective. SEO and AEO is an evolving space, and we don't have all the answers, and that's okay, because we do know one thing, and that is that the buyer's journey is still the same. Users still contextualize a pain point so that they can identify a solution, find the right product for that solution, and ultimately make a purchase. In the past, this journey was often done on search engines like Google, but now people are turning to AI engines for this more and more. Let's walk through the traditional search journey. So a user will type a keyword into a search engine. So in my example here, a user is looking for information on marketing strategy. Then their search results page will come up and they will click on a result. Hopefully it's HubSpot's post on how to create a complete marketing strategy. The user is then educated by our content, and then as they read their content, they may be compelled to take an action from one of our offers on the page. On that blog post, we have a CTA for our free marketing plan template. And once they are subscribed, they will be nurtured to buy Marketing Hub through ongoing touch points. Now, the search journey with AI engines looks a little bit different. Instead of going into a traditional search engine and typing in a simple query, you can now have a conversation with an AI engine. In this example, I'm asking ChatGPT, hey, if you were a small business owner, how would you implement a marketing strategy for your team? Then the user can become educated by the AI engine's output and then begin to start taking action based on what the AI engine recommends them to do. So in this example, ChatGPT provided me with a marketing plan. And now I'm asking them, hey, what tools do I need to complete this marketing plan and implement this new strategy that you're recommending? Our goal is to have the HubSpot brand synonymous with those terms, so we show up in the AI search and AI engines recommend HubSpot for that product. So overall, you can see that AI is really disrupting the search journey. For traditional search engines, you're typing in a simplified search query. You're doing the manual research and comparison yourself. Think about how many times you've been searching for a specific answer or product and opening a million different tabs on your browser just to find what you're looking for, and having to do multiple search attempts and refine those queries to find that exact answer. Now with AI engines, you can have specific natural language queries and have a conversation with those AI engines and evaluate the overall results that are given to you by that AI engine, all within one window. So your blog audience isn't just humans anymore, but it is also AI engines. Your blog becomes important in influencing the AI engines that are influencing the humans to take action from us. So you can think of it like a game of telephone, where you write your blog content and then the AI engine reads that content and then relays that information to the human user.
to sum up, two big things. We're shifting from best resource to best answer. And a lot of that journey is happening in a single chat window. So with those two things in mind, there are two ways that we at the HubSpot blog are choosing to evolve our approach. The first way is in how we select the topics that we write about on the HubSpot blog. And the second way is how we design our content with editorial tactics to ensure that AI engines can parse and use the content that we create. So we'll talk about topic selection first. Now, I know this room is full of a lot of content marketers, editorial professionals, search strategists, so I hate to take you back to 8th grade algebra, but I'm going to anyway because it's the best analogy for this. Imagine that you're plotting a point on a graph. You have an y-axis and an x-axis that is not displaying correctly on this screen, but imagine they're like this and like this. Let's say the x-axis has a value of 1, and the y-axis has a value of 1. Those two values together can show you where you can plot that point on the two-dimensional space. If you had another point, let's say an x value of 1 and a y value of 3, you can then plot that point in another spot on that two-dimensional space. So you can measure the distance between those points or describe where they are on the graph. Well, with AI engines, it's much the same way. So we as humans understand words and relationships through intuition, through context, through our experiences. But AI engines are not alive and don't have experience, so they understand words and concepts through mathematics. Except instead of 2 dimensions, depending on the mid-size model that you use, each point can be described by 3 to 4,000 dimensions. And each point could be a single word, an entity, or entire body of content. So with that in mind, mathematically, we want to make our brands synonymous with our product category or categories to make it more relevant to those things in that vectorized space. In other words, imagine that you reach for a tissue. Sometimes you call that tissue Kleenex because we, as humans, have made Kleenex synonymous with tissue over time. We want to do that same exact thing to make our brand synonymous with our product categories for AI engines as well. So for HubSpot, that might mean making HubSpot synonymous with CRM or marketing automation. We might also want to make HubSpot synonymous with our competitors. That way, anytime an AI engine talks about marketing automation or CRM or our competitors, it would be remiss not to mention HubSpot in its answer.
One of the ways we're doing this at HubSpot is we're moving our blog content down funnel. This means we're bringing our content closer to the product so that we can strengthen those semantic associations and capitalize on SEO and AEO opportunities. Historically, our blog library has consisted of a lot of top-of-funnel content because that's where the highest ROI was. And we could generate a lot of traffic by doing that and targeting short-tail awareness stage keywords such as marketing strategy. Now, it's a lot more advantageous for us to move our content down funnel and target our topics that are more closely aligned with our product hubs and product features such as marketing automation. And we can do all of this by saturating our key topic categories. And it's even possible to map out what that topic saturation looks like with your vector embeddings. So you can determine what content to update and what content to create. If you look at the map, each dot represents a single blog post and each color represents a topic category. And the closer those dots are together, the more closely semantically related those topics are to our product categories. And the further away, it indicates that more content investment can be made in those categories, or we could stand to update those blog posts to make them closer aligned.
Another thing we understand about AI engines is that the way people interact with them is a lot more personalized than the way they interact with search engines. So, for example, with traditional search, you might use a head term, which would be 1 or 2 words, or a long tail query, which could be 3 to 8. But because Google's goal is to retrieve the best resource for a particular topic, anything beyond like 8 words probably wouldn't be an effective search for you. However, AI engines do better with the more context that you provide. So for example, someone might interact with an AI engine with the following prompt. I'm a VP of sales at a manufacturing company with a small team of 6 reps. We mostly sell to repeat customers, but want to expand into new markets. We need a CRM that integrates with our existing ERP, helps us track complex B2B deals, and has a strong reporting without a steep learning curve. We have a budget of $500 per month. What would you recommend and why? In the past, we might have written a product listicle about the X number of best CRMs. But with this hyper-personalization, we need to support those answers with even more content. So scale was important with SEO, but scale of production becomes even more important with AEO, because it no longer becomes a single product listicle for best CRMs that someone evaluates which one in that listicle is best for them, but content that supports all of the intents in a hyper-personalized prompt. So for example, best CRM for manufacturing company, best CRM for small teams, best CRM with ERP integrations, best CRM reporting, inexpensive CRM, easy CRM, CRMs under $500. So the amount of content that we create needs to support that hyper-personalized way that people interact with AI engines. In addition, it's not just about the topic selection that we want to change to shift to the AEO world, but also the way that we write content so that AI engines can parse and retrieve that information in the best possible way. So as a reminder, we're switching from best resource for a particular query to best answer to a user's prompt. And that actually changes the way that we think about tactics. We know Google's not going away, and AI engines rely on the search index to formulate its answers. But there are additional ways that AI engines work that can inform the tactics that we use on page to optimize for them. The first one is factual grounding. So factual grounding means aligning with verified external sources or structured data to ensure accuracy. So essentially, what an AI engine does is it has a large corpus of data that it uses that formulates its knowledge, and it can generate answers based on that knowledge alone. But sometimes when it doesn't know the answer, or maybe if it wants to validate its answer with a particular statistic, it will actually go out and do a search, just like we do. That's called retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. So one way that we know that this is how AI works, and we can sort of target it in our optimizations, is by using original data and research, making points with data that are very sticky that an AI engine can then go out and grab. So that begs the question, from SEO to AEO, what is seen as authoritative and credible? And there are some differences that change the way that we display authority on page. So search engines, really Google, rely on frameworks to establish authority and credibility. You may be familiar with EEAT. That stands for expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. This is the way Google determines what is a high-quality, authoritative answer. Google will look at subject matter expertise, so whether or not there's a good byline that demonstrates that an expert is writing on the topic and knows what they're talking about. Google might look for anecdotes and first-person point of view to ensure that there's a differentiated perspective, because it's really trying to get that best resource on the topic. Lastly, it really likes original data and research for that differentiated perspective. So all of this making differentiation because Google cares about the best resource. AI engines don't care about the same things that search engines do. AI really cares about facts, and that's that factual grounding piece. So what it does is it looks at a large amount of sources and tries to find contextual agreement or like recurrence of similar information. That is what's going to signal to the AI engine that something is true and trustworthy. It also doesn't really care about stories that much. It cares about providing facts to the user because it's about generating that good answer. And lastly, it really likes original data and research. All of this meaning it's trying to find a consensus to formulate the best answer. But what you'll notice about both SEO and AEO is that both care about original data and research. So that is a tactic that we can use for both of those strategies. That being said, there's something to say about novelty and thought leadership. Just because AI engines don't really care about our stories doesn't mean that novelty and thought leadership isn't important. So what we'll need to do is we'll need to find the balance between content that sways a consensus and content that demonstrates our novel thought leadership. So because it's trying to find a consensus, we know AI engines favor widely corroborated information. And so our goal with some content will be to sway that consensus in our favor. Information gain is also extremely important since it's trying to find those facts. Facts especially that it can't find anywhere else. So that shows that novel information is really important in AEO as well as SEO. And AI answers can be influenced by earned media. So trendy trends and buzziness, that you can get from thought leadership, either on social or on earned media such as PR. So it's still important to create your own thought leadership, create novel insights that can then inform your content and show up in AI answers. But it's really about finding that balance. In addition, the way we tell stories matters for visibility in AI engines. And I'll give you an example. Last week, our team had a funny incident during our virtual stand-up. Alex's cat jumped on the keyboard and sent a random message in the chat. Everyone laughed, and we spent 5 minutes sharing pet stories instead of updates. It made the meeting more enjoyable, but we got less work done that morning. So this is a really entertaining anecdote. It's something that we might find, nice at the water cooler or even in, an informal blog post. But it does demonstrate low information gain. And what I mean by that is it's entertaining but doesn't teach a principle or provide a widely applicable insight. And there's no measurable or structured knowledge for the model to use and then pull back into its answer. In contrast, this example demonstrates high information gain. Studies show that short, structured virtual stand-ups improve remote team productivity. In our team, we tested this approach by limiting updates to 2 minutes per person and holding meetings at 9 a.m. One morning, a funny interruption with Alex's cat led to a 5-minute laugh, but the meeting still stayed within the 15-minute limit. Over the month, our average task completion rate increased by 12%, confirming that structured meetings can accommodate small interruptions without losing productivity. So unlike the first example, it's a very similar story, but unlike the first example, it includes a consensus-backed principle, it provides a concrete example or outcome, and it adds context and memorability, which is good for our human audiences, without losing semantic value that our agentic audiences find important.
Another way AI engines work is chunking. So what chunking is segmenting and storing chunks of text in a searchable index to enable efficient retrieval. So you can think of chunking like going to the library. If a librarian was using this method, they would give you just a simple index card with all the information you would need in one simple chunk of text instead of giving you the entire book. And we can optimize for chunking through a process called semantic completeness, which is how a series of words are semantically complete without needing prior or follow-up text for additional context. So let's look at a paragraph that would be considered semantically incomplete. Marketing automation can make a huge difference in how teams manage lead nurturing and follow-up. HubSpot's tools are designed to help users set up workflows quickly and respond to customer behavior without manual effort. If I, a human reader, was reading this paragraph within a blog post, I would need additional information to get the full context of what the author was trying to convey. An AI engine doesn't get the full context. And so the reason why this paragraph is semantically incomplete is because it's missing specific actions or workflows that could be automated. It's missing information on how the tools integrate with other parts of the HubSpot platform. And it's also missing the tangible benefits of how marketing automation can help the user. So again, this is well written for a user, but it doesn't deliver a full explanation on its own. Now let's look at a paragraph that is considered semantically complete. HubSpot's marketing automation tools enable businesses to deliver the right message to the right person at the right time. By combining behavioral triggers, dynamic segmentation, and lead scoring, users can build complex workflows that guide prospects through personalized buyer journeys. These automations are deeply integrated with HubSpot's CRM and reporting tools, allowing teams to track performance across channels. So, unlike the paragraph in the previous slide, this paragraph introduces the topic, HubSpot's marketing automation tools. It names each of the features and describes their functions, and it explains the overall outcomes on using HubSpot's automation tools.
Okay. We have talked a little bit about vector embeddings and how AI engines use math to extract meaning and values of words. We've also talked about chunking. It goes out and it tries to find the little bit that it can use and pulls it back without the rest of the resource. Entity associations kind of builds on those two principles. Entity association means the identification and linking of named entities with relevant attributes to improve understanding. So what I mean by this is a human, based on context, might be able to tell you what the sentence, Paris is cool, means. But an AI engine, without the rest of the context, would not know if we're talking about Paris, France, or Paris, Hilton. So that means that we need to ensure that our named entities in our content are clear and unambiguous. And we do that through a writing principle called semantic triples. So semantic triples is a technique used to represent knowledge in a structured format using 3 components. So we'll give the example, HubSpot CRM helps sales teams track leads. I took you through 8th grade algebra a little bit earlier. Now we're going to talk about 8th grade language arts. But it's really important because the subject is the entity being described. So in this example, it's HubSpot CRM. The object is a value or related entity. In this example, would be track leads. This provides more context to the subject because the predicate helps describe the relationship or property between the named entity and the value or related entity. So in essence, we're able to provide that extra context that an AI engine would need to understand the relationship between those 2 things. So let's look at the difference between unstructured content without semantic triples and structured content with semantic triples. Unstructured content. With drag and drop functionality and an intuitive interface, this tool makes it easier than ever to build beautiful campaigns. It's packed with features that help you automate follow-ups, personalize messages, and analyze performance. No coding necessary. This would be a perfectly fine paragraph on a product page designed for a human audience, because presumably the human knows why they're on that page, and they've written some of the other content that they've gotten from that page. However, AI engines using chunking are just grabbing the bits that it can use. And so, unfortunately, there's some ambiguity in this paragraph. There's an ambiguous subject, this tool. We don't really know what tool we're referring to. There's an ambiguous pronoun, its. And there's also some ambiguous sentence structure at the end with the em dash and no coding necessary. In contrast, if we were to write a paragraph using semantic triples, we would be able to clear up some of that ambiguity. HubSpot offers an email marketing tool that supports drag and drop campaign creation. Marketers can automate follow-ups using built-in workflows. HubSpot's email analytics provide insights on click-throughs and engagement trends. No coding is required to design personalized emails. To humans, I think both of those examples are fine, but the latter example provides a lot less ambiguity and more value for an AI engine to pull. So, to summarize, what we know about AI engines is that they use factual grounding, chunking, and entity association, and the tactics that we might use to optimize our pages to target those methods would be original data and research, semantic completeness, and semantic triples. We've been running a number of experiments on the HubSpot blog and other media properties, and using some of these tactics, we've been able to increase our company mentions in AI answers by 58%. We've been able to increase our citation counts by 642% on blog URLs, and we've secured prominent placements in AI overviews that we didn't have placements for before. And this is just with some experimentation and other tactics that we've been using. So, that being said, hopefully those editorial optimizations are useful for you all to take as well. And if you're beginning your journey for measuring your visibility in AI engines, I invite you to try out AEO Grader. This is a free tool that HubSpot has created that can help you start measuring your visibility in AI engines. Absolutely free. It includes competitor analysis as well as sentiment analysis to put you on the path to increasing your brand visibility in AI engines. You can access it at hubspot.com/AEO Grader. Thank you, everyone. I believe we have some time for a little bit of Q&A.
We have a question over here.
Sorry if this sounds lazy and like cheating, but is there sort of a meta way to do this, in the sense that is there an agent that you would recommend using, ChatGPT or something, to ask it to optimize, to help to put your blog post in and then optimize it for AEO? Or is it so new that it can't do that, or that would kind of work against you?
Yeah, so there are certain things that an AI agent would actually be able to do. We actually have an agent on agent.ai that can help you grade your pages and find the areas that you need to improve. But clearing up ambiguity, adding original data and research, those are things that an agent probably wouldn't be able to do. It's something your content strategy would take care of.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi. I'm wondering if you're willing to share any systems that you've put in place to take these best practices and to do it at scale, because I imagine you have quite a few writers that you work with. And then if you'll indulge me on a second question, I've noticed some of your recent articles, they've shifted from title case to sentence case for the headlines. And I'm also seeing there's a lot of firsthand experience, much more depth than maybe we would have saw a few years ago. Are those examples of tactics that you're doing, or is it totally unrelated to this?
Sure, I'll answer the second one first, and then I'll try and answer the first one second. Title case is an editorial style guide change. It was a preference from our writers. So I wouldn't say that it was an AEO tactic specifically, but it is one that they chose for our human readers. In addition, first-person anecdotes is really good for EEAT. So we know that SEO is still the basis. It's still the foundation. Really good SEO is going to mean good AEO, because what an AI engine does is it uses retrieval augmented generation to go out and anytime it doesn't know something or it needs to validate its answer, it's using the search index. For OpenAI, that's Bing and Google. For others, that's just Google. It's going out and it's doing a search just like we would and pulling back information. So in order to have good AEO, you actually have you need to have a solid SEO strategy, and that includes having EEAT principles on page. I think the big difference, though, is that we need to be a little bit more modular with how we use first-person point of view, how we have anecdotes to demonstrate our experience and our expertise on page in a way that's a little more AI engine friendly. And in terms of systems that we're currently putting in place, like that is in flight. So we're really trying to find the balance between using AI to augment, really support that production motion. We know scale is really important with AEO in a way that it wasn't as important for SEO. That means more content creation. Unfortunately, going back to the original example, a strong SEO foundation is still necessary, and if you augment your content with AI too much, you could run into a penalty for scaled content abuse or a spam penalty. And so really finding the sweet spot between complying with Google's guidelines for AI-generated content, providing our own differentiated perspective, while being able to make content systems that support content creation at scale.
Thank you.
Hi there. Great presentation. Thank you very much. Can we talk a little bit about measuring success?
Sure.
I'm a publisher. Traditional KPIs like, visitors, users, engagements, that type of thing. How do you measure, specifically, if you could, things like citations?
Yes.
Because I think that's a great, trying to get away from the more traditional KPIs and encouraging higher ups to acknowledge these newer KPIs.
I am so glad that you asked this question. So particularly for blogs, that has been a performance marketing motion. So in other words, we've been able to measure every single touch point from how well we're showing up, in search, all the way down to QL, qualified lead. Every single step along the way, we've been able to measure and know what content's working and what content's not working. AEO is going to be part performance marketing because SEO is still our foundation, but we're kind of adding a brand marketing layer to it, right? So some of our social media folks out there, brand marketing, you're a little bit ahead of the curve than us who are used to performance marketing. So this is the shift to go from just performance marketing to performance marketing plus brand. There are a number of tools. You can start with AEO Grader because it's free. We at HubSpot use a tool called XFunnel that does query prompts on our behalf, proxies that we can then use to analyze how answers are showing up. And there are 4 main metrics that we use to determine whether or not we're successful. There's mentions. So is our company mentioned in the answer? Citation. Are we being cited in the answer? If we're being cited, we're more likely to control that narrative. There is share of voice. So how much space are we taking up in those answers compared to that of our competitors? And lastly, there's sentiment. Are we being spoken about positively or negatively?
And those are measured within?
XFunnel or Profound, and there may be other tools as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm typing furiously as you're talking, and I'm also. So you had a slide where you were showing a map of vector embeddings, and you said it's possible to actually map what the vector embeddings look like for your existing content. How do you do that?
With a tool called Screaming Frog.
Screaming Frog.
Yep, and it will be crawling using an API that then maps those embeddings.
Thank you.
Yep.
Not my question, but that's awesome. We use Screaming Frog. I had no idea it could do that.
It's new.
Oh, they just added it. I got to update.
Just like a couple months ago, maybe.
Okay. My question is, are you guys focused solely on new content and generating new, or are you going back to your older evergreen content and revamping it for AEO as well?
Both. So we have a really high visibility in AI engines compared to that of our competitors. And we attribute that to all of the work that we've already done on the blog, being a thought leader and being a source of education for professionals everywhere. And that has been a really big tailwind for us to demonstrate that visibility. However, some of that content is not fit for an AEO strategy because it might be too tangential to our products that we want to increase our semantic association for. Some of our top of funnel content absolutely can be adapted to an AEO strategy, but also there's a lot of green space in the middle of the funnel that we haven't capitalized on yet. So essentially it will be a mix of net new content and updates, depending on the fit of the content and how well we think that we can strengthen that semantic association.
I assume you're also sunsetting some bad fit that you just don't want to move forward with?
Oh yeah, I mean, we're constantly doing that. We just pruned, I think, a few months ago, 7,000 URLs. And that is something that people should think about doing as well, especially if those dots, as you map those vector embeddings, are way off into space.
Great, thank you, this is great.
We can take maybe one or two more questions.
So my question is around frequency of updates and how much you're looking back. I mean, refreshing content or building new content. I know when you're thinking about SEO and web crawling, there are frequency recommendations for how often you should be updating or reviewing content. Have you seen something similar with AEO?
So AI engines have that corpus of knowledge, and that knowledge has a cutoff date. So updates are not as effective for AEO as it is for SEO, except in the fact that RAG is still important. So anytime it does a retrieval augmented generation, you want a higher ranking in the SERPs, and that usually means fresh, relevant content. In addition, since AEO is such a new tactic, we also want to do quite a lot of updates to retrofit some of our old content to the new strategy. So updates are absolutely important for AEO, even though it might not be in the traditional sense.
Awesome, thank you.
One more.
Yes. Do you see AEO taking the same trajectory as SEO? So for example, people figure out the algorithm, what works, what doesn't. Then the providers change the game. Do you see OpenAI and all of them now knowing there is this greater, now we're going to shift what matters? Or do you think going down the same route as Google and everybody else?
Absolutely. I mean, we've already seen like the equivalent of algorithm updates for AI engines in that there are, the knowledge cutoff dates, the new models that are released. So anytime it trains on new corpus of data is going to be that shift. They'll certainly change how they weight things. The new ChatGPT 5 release, we didn't really see like a seismic shift in the way that it retrieves information, except we're noticing that retrieval augmented generation has increased. So it's going out and doing those searches more than the 4 model. And so what that means is that, essentially, it's trying to reduce hallucination by going out and doing that search and getting that fresh information. And that is probably as a result of people complaining about hallucination. So they'll continually refine their product and update the training models.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, one more.
Yeah, we have 1 minute.
With semantic triples, in addition to incorporating this as a writing style, would it be beneficial or is it best practice to have a library of semantic triples that are specific to our brand/core product? Or is there a penalty for having duplicative sentences across the blog?
As long as you're not creating large swaths of duplicate content, a single semantic triple, that you use in multiple places will not hurt you.
Thank you.
Okay. Everyone who is left, thank you so much for attending.